One of the Prophet's uncles chose to be like Hamza, while the other chose to be like Abu Lahab. Before prophethood, both of them loved Rasulullah, but later one became his closest friend and the other became his worst enemy. The father of fire, Abu Lahab, was known for his sharp mind, strong speech, and the wealth he loved to show off. He was so extreme that verses were revealed in the Quran about him, and even how he would end was told in a miraculous way. So what stopped this man, who came from the family of the Prophet, from believing? In this video, we will learn why a disbeliever doesn't believe, even when he knows the truth. Today, there are many new Abu Lahabs. To understand them, we first need to know who the first one really was. Here again with another video full of knowledge. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and like the video. The life of Abu Lahab is one of the most shocking and lesson-filled stories in Islamic history. His real name was Abdul Uzza bin Abdul Muttalib. He was the uncle of our Prophet Muhammad Mustafa, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and he belonged to the Banu Hashim clan of the Quraysh tribe. Because his face had a bright and reddish color, he was called Abu Lahab, which means the father of flame. But this brightness on the outside couldn't hide the darkness and hatred inside him. Abu Lahab was a respected and powerful man in Mecca. His father, Abdul Muttalib, was a well-known leader and the caretaker of the Kaaba. Thanks to this reputation, Abu Lahab worked in trade and became very rich. With his wealth and business skills, he became one of the leading men in Mecca. Some sources even mention that he had hundreds of kilos of gold. But it wasn't limited to just that. He was also an aristocrat, charismatic and handsome. Power was in his hands. Just like Abu Jahl, he worshipped power, and he was going to be the leader of the Banu Hashim tribe, to which our Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam belonged after Abdul Muttalib. He married Jamil Arwa bint Harb, a woman from a noble family like himself. She was the sister of Abu Sufyan, one of the strong leaders of Quraysh, and the daughter of Harb bin Umayyah. This marriage made the power and influence of both families even stronger. Jamil was known for her beauty and intelligence, but sadly, she did not use these gifts for good. When the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam was born, it brought great joy to the family. According to some reports, Abu Lahab was very happy when he heard the news. Abu Lahab freed his slave woman Suwayba, who brought him the message of the Prophet's birth. This shows that, in the beginning, he had good feelings toward the Prophet. Suwayba also became a milk mother and breastfed the Prophet. The Prophet grew up as an orphan. His father, Abdullah, passed away before he was born. His mother, Amina, also died when he was 6. He was raised first by his grandfather, Abdul Muttalib, and then by his uncle, Abu Talib. During this time, Abu Lahab didn't show any hatred toward him. In fact, some reports say he even helped the Prophet with trade when he was young. Abu Lahab also arranged for his sons, Utbah and Utayba, to be engaged to the Prophet's daughters, Ruqayya and Kulthum. These kinds of engagements were meant to strengthen family ties and raise a family's status in society. When the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam was 40 years old, he received the first revelation. He began to call people to the oneness of Allah and to leave idol worship. This caused a strong reaction among the leaders of Mecca. The belief in Tawheed, the oneness of Allah, went against their faith and also threatened their income. If people stopped worshipping idols, fewer visitors would come to the Kaaba, and this would hurt their businesses. Also, the justice taught by Islam was a danger to the rich and powerful who had many privileges. At the famous gathering on Safa Hill, the Prophet invited his family and the leaders of Quraysh to Islam. This was an important turning point in his open message. Abu Lahab gave the harshest response. He said, "Did you gather us just for this?" and insulted the Prophet before walking away. This was the start of his open hatred. Because of the chaos and constant wars in Arabia, family ties were extremely important among the Arabs. In the early years of Islam, even if some of the Prophet's relatives did not believe in him, they still supported him because of this strong tradition. Other tribes also accepted this behavior as normal and respected it, as it followed their customs. They did not criticize or blame those who supported their relatives. But during the Jahiliyyah period, there was one person who broke this respected rule, the Prophet's uncle, Abu Lahab. Even though he was his uncle, and in Arab culture uncles were seen almost like fathers, he broke one of the most important moral values of Arabian society. He did everything he could to harm the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, even though he was his own family. Abu Lahab didn't stop with words. He did everything he could to stop Islam from spreading. Wherever the Prophet went to teach Islam, Abu Lahab followed him and tried to confuse people. He told them that the Prophet was lying or crazy, hasha. Especially at markets and large gatherings, he tried to stop foreign visitors from listening to the Prophet. Jamil, his wife, also hated Islam and the Prophet. She spread gossip and caused trouble among women. She threw thorns and trash in front of the Prophet's house to bother him. She also tried to influence the noble women of Mecca to exclude Muslim women from society. Jamil was interested in poetry, but sadly she used her poems to insult the Prophet. The cruelty of Abu Lahab did not stop there. He pressured his own slaves and servants to stay away from Islam and tortured those who became Muslim. He threatened the weak. Abu Lahab threatened weak and unprotected Muslims, trying to force them to leave their faith. The torture of people like Bilal al-Habashi showed how cruel Abu Lahab and others like him were. He was also one of the main supporters of the boycott against Muslims. He worked to keep them out of trade and social life. When the Prophet's son Qasim passed away at a young age, Abu Lahab showed great joy and mocked him by saying, "Muhammad has no more sons." This revealed how full of hate and anger he was. But then Allah Ta'ala revealed Surah Al-Kawthar. "Surely we have given you Al-Kawthar, so pray to your Lord and sacrifice. The one who hates you, he is the one cut off." Abu Lahab and Jamil also ended the engagements between their sons and the Prophet's daughters, Ruqayya and Kulthum. This broke the bond between the families. When Utayba ended the engagement, he insulted the Prophet badly and even spat on his face. The Prophet, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, was deeply hurt and said, "O Allah, destroy him." Shortly after, Utayba went on a trade journey to Sham. There he was killed by a lion. Many people believed this was the result of the Prophet's prayer. Because of the evil actions of Abu Lahab and his wife, Allah Ta'ala revealed Surah Al-Masad. "In the name of Allah, the most compassionate, the most merciful. May the hands of Abu Lahab be ruined, and ruined is he. His wealth and what he earned will not help him. He will enter a fire full of flames, and his wife, the carrier of firewood, will have a rope of palm fiber around her neck." This is the only surah in the Quran that mentions a disbeliever by name. It clearly tells that Abu Lahab and his wife would be destroyed in this world and the hereafter. Their money, power and status would not save them. His wife being called the carrier of firewood shows how she spread gossip and caused harm. The twisted rope around her neck is a symbol of her punishment in the hereafter. Abu Lahab did not join the Battle of Badr. He stayed in Mecca. When he heard that the Muslims had won and many Quraysh leaders were killed, he was deeply shocked and angry. He blamed the Prophet and the Muslims even more. Soon after, he caught a deadly and contagious disease. Some say it was smallpox, others say it was the plague. His body developed sores and swelling. He was rejected by society, and even his family stayed away from him, fearing they would catch the disease. Abu Lahab's death was as miserable as his life. After he died, no one wanted to touch his body. It was left for days because people were afraid to bury him. Finally, they used long sticks to push his body into a pit and threw stones on top. This showed that all his wealth and power were useless, even at death. They could not help him. In Surah Al-Masad, the verse says that his wealth and status would not help him. He got such a terrible disease that neither his family, nor his reputation, nor his money could save him. Before he even died, he was left alone. Because the illness was contagious, no one wanted to come near him. The fact that the Quran mentioned this in a miraculous way before it happened is a clear proof that it is the word of Allah. After her husband died, Jamil was left alone in society. She used to be proud of her rich necklace, thinking her money would protect her. But in the hereafter, it is said she will carry a rope of fire around her neck. Her end was also a result of her pride and hatred. Even her own children didn't care about her. She lived a lonely life. However, their daughter, Dura bint Abu Lahab, later became a Muslim and moved to Medina. But because of what her parents had done, some Muslims treated her badly. The Prophet, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, gave her special care and said, "She is not responsible for what her father did." He told the Muslims to treat her with fairness. This is another example of the Prophet's justice and mercy. One important point in the life of Abu Lahab is the reason behind his hatred toward the Prophet and Islam. The equality and justice taught by Islam were a threat to people like Abu Lahab, who were at the top of society. Treating slaves and masters, the rich and the poor, as equals shook their social status. Also, rejecting idol worship put their income from Kaaba visitors at risk. Because of this, they tried everything to stop the spread of Islam. Abu Lahab also joined the plots and assassination plans against the Prophet. He worked with the leaders of Quraysh to plan how to kill him. But every time, Allah protected the Prophet. Even though Abu Lahab and his wife did so much harm, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam still prayed for their guidance. He hoped they would find the right path. This teaches us to be patient and kind even to our enemies. It shows that Islam is a religion of peace and mercy, and that we should always invite people to the truth with patience. One of Abu Lahab's other efforts to stop Islam was the boycott. The Quraysh leaders made a plan to block Muslims and the Banu Hashim clan from trade and social life. During this time, Muslims suffered greatly. They faced hunger and poverty. Abu Lahab was one of the strongest supporters of this boycott. He worked hard to stop anyone from helping the Muslims. The hatred Abu Lahab showed toward Islam and the Prophet throughout his life led to his own destruction. His death and what happened after reminded people again that this world is temporary and the hereafter is forever. His story is a lesson in how pride and stubbornness can lead people down the wrong path. Even today, there are many important lessons to learn from this story. We should remember that wealth, status and power are all temporary. What really matters is a clean heart and being on the right path. Hate and anger only bring destruction. To find the truth, we must keep our hearts and minds open.